everybody. Welcome to Non-Fungible Guys. My name is Devon C. Codrington. If you're new here, this is a podcast about NFTs, cryptocurrency, the blockchain, and everything in between. I'm joined by my crusty, I meant to say trusty, my crusty co-host. Yo, you know what? Actually, you're kind of crusty. This morning when I talked to you, you were pissed about the kids. Yeah, you're a crusty co-host.
I'm a little under the weather. So
a little under the weather too, so you're probably crusty. What's your name?
NFG Ryan on Twitter or everywhere, actually.
Oh my God. NFG Ryan on Twitter.
It's not my government name, though. Ryan is my government name.
Gotcha.
Cool. Just so everyone's aware.
Just so the government knows. We're also joined by two other individuals who are not crusty. They're pretty cool. Deckard and Lou. From Evrl00t. Evrl00t, I would say they're going to describe it better than I will, of course, but like I'd say like a dark RPG player game on polkadot and Kusama, all these things. We're going to talk about Moonchain. We're going to talk about parachains. It's really cool. Did I say Moonchain? I meant Moonbeam. Moonbeam. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about soul snatchers. We're going to have souls. We're going to talk about equipping your NFTs. If you've listened to this podcast, you know that Ryan and I always talk about, and we always mention RMRK. We always mention the capability, and like we're like RMRK evangelists. That's the word. And sometimes I'm sure people are like, oh my gosh, they're talking about it again. But there's very, very good reason. From last year when we had Bruno, the founder of RMRK, on the podcast, we fell in love with it. And we're always looking for different projects in this ecosystem to talk about. And Evrl00t, God bless their hearts, reached out, and here they are. So we're actually really, really hype about this. Deckard and Lou, what is up? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very short introduction. Non-crusty or crusty, I don't know. Deckard, co-founder of Evrl00t, and we have Lou.
Yeah, hi there. I guess I'm the second of the three co-founders. Yeah.
Nice. So you already said that RMRK. You were interested about RMRK. Like we are, as you said, a dark fantasy RPG that is heavily centered around ownership of the NFTs, and built on the RMRK standard. And we, as you said, we also fell in love with the technology and saw like a lot that was not being done, and we were wondering like, when is it coming? And it wasn't coming, and so we just like started doing it as pure amateurs, and here we are.
Nice.
That's amazing. Story. Before we really dive into the project, I guess let's get us where did you guys start in the crypto NFT? Are you guys into crypto and NFTs yourself? And I guess where did you kind of start your journey into eventually creating Evrl00t?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been into crypto. I think not as long as Deckard has, but it was definitely NFTs that drew me into it, just out of pure curiosity. I mean, being a gamer myself for quite some time, I was interested in the gamification of the NFTs. I actually started with Metroverse. I'm not sure if somebody remembers that. They just shut down actually, but I was super interested in like projects trying to get as much use case out of it as they can. And then I basically met Deckard through a mutual friend, and he told me about RMRK, and there was like a green light that popped up in my head and connected all the dots when it comes to gaming and use cases. So yeah, it came kind of natural to take that technology and try to build something with it.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. From my side, I had a very mixed history with crypto. I was once like at the time when Bitcoin was, I think, $160 or something. I had an internship and I was a student. It was a bit crazy time. I was living in Bangkok because there was the German company who had the internship, and I had barely any money. So I was living month to month, paycheck to paycheck. And then I was so bored because I was parked in this internship that I was the whole day on Reddit, and I found these crypto subreddits, and it was so interesting to me, this idea of crypto. And like I invested the last penny I had, really, like the perfect thing that you should not do, like invest the money you really need, and like bought, I think, two Bitcoin at 160 or so. And then there was a Mt. Gox hack that happened, and I was so scared because it dropped to like 90, and then and then like I got out at 140 and thought, hey, I got off lucky, right?
Yeah.
I was lucky. I just got off that damn train that's going to hit the wall, and then I didn't listen to crypto again until you couldn't ignore the Bitcoin hit 10,000 and so on. So I was still pissed. And at some point, like 3 years ago, I think I returned. I was into Canaria. I was into like the stuff that was going on, and then basically the story that Lou said. We just like connected. I have a technical background, but I'm not a coder. And Lou is like a full stack developer, and like both, I'm a project manager in my product manager in my day job. So yeah, it fits well together. Lou as the CTO and me as kind of the guy with the visions that Lou always wants to nail down.
Yeah,
and
there's like a kind of boundary management, I would say, I have to do with Deckard all the time, because I guess he's so bored in his daytime job that he goes really crazy with ideas when it comes to Evrl00t, and I'm the one that has to be like, okay, I like those ideas, but let's try to create an MVP we can actually do, and then keep the ideas for later.
But we have a pretty good sync, I would say, because together, like to come to that point where we both agree on that. So I think we've been pretty experienced so far, because it's like spinning up ideas, but getting to something that is like that you can create value for the players soon or quickly is a process that we believe we have a good synergy on.
Nice. That's cool. I like that. Well, there's so many things about what you said that I have questions about. It feels super cool to be like, I was in Bangkok during the Bitcoin, like, you know, when it just feels like that's like a cool place to be, and then just like hear about that. But at least you can say you got in that early, whether you could always just stop the story there and be like, when did you start? You're like, I bought Bitcoin when it was 160. And you're like, wow, then what happened? You're like, that's private. Then you walk away with like a single tear in your eye, knowing the truth. But no, that's cool. I like that you're the technical person, but not a coder. That's me, sort of. Yeah. And Lou, I guess I feel your pain, because you ask people, like, I'm sure the Deckard's like, we could do this and you're like, do you know what it takes to build that? Do you know that what I'm trying to put together here? So I feel like I would love to watch you guys working, where Lou's just like rolling his eyes in the background, be like, we're not going to do that.
Fly on the
it's
wall.
interesting. I think in his daytime job, like, he's the one that has to try to put boundaries on everybody. So I feel like in Evrl00t, he just wants to go crazy. But I think we are, at least we got pretty good at setting goals together and focusing on them. And I think like our main vision on trying to create something simpler and then have like this iterative approach to it, it just works really great. And I think we really align on that vision. So it works out great.
Nice. Good stuff. Okay, why don't we get to like the actual like Evrl00t? Talk to us a little bit more about that. Like, what is Evrl00t? How do we describe that for a person who's listening to us being like, I have no idea, starting from zero? What is it? How does it work?
Lou, you want to
go? Yeah, sure. So we started on Kusama, like you said. So RMRK started on Kusama as well, basically as a hack. Like they're using these comments on the Kusama chain straight on there. And yeah, we saw that, and we didn't want to wait for EVM contracts or anything. So we just built straight on top there with our own backend and everything. And we basically tried to create as much use case with this technology that was pretty new at the time. And we basically stumbled into this idle game, let's call it. So you have your characters, and they use the full spectrum of RMRK, meaning they have items, they have different soulbound markers that kind of symbolize what you've been through with the character. And yeah, you can send those characters on missions and basically get NFTs back. So that was the main game mechanic we had until now. And what's coming soon for us is a bit more real-time stuff as well, meaning if you've ever played Diablo, for example, dungeon runs, you know, where you go into a dungeon and you meet enemies and you can get loot and treasure. So that's kind of where we're moving now, because we see that that's what the players are interested into, and that's also where we now think we are capable of going. So yeah, it has started as a small project, and it's just gradually built up this this huge space now, which we are super proud of. Yeah.
And I could also describe it right now. So the state is if I would take games. Sorry for the non-gamers here, but it's somehow a crossover between like a point and click adventure where you have you have these drawings, these illustrations with a lot of detail to them, and you can move with your mouse over and discover things and talk to people and unlock some secrets and so on. But it's in the costume or in the style and in the setting of a medieval fantasy world that is a lot like Diablo 2 themed, like the old Diablo games. So this vibe has been what we had wanted to achieve. And the core mechanics of it is this combination between this point and click, like we know all Monkey Island, I guess, or these classics. So it's like a Monkey Island in Diablo setting, but the core mechanics are like the early 2000 browser games where you had like idle game missions where you sent your character, for example, logging or whatever. This is what we do in our games. You can send your character for fishing, and depending on what rod you take and what bait you equip, you can catch different kind of fish. And this different kind of fish, they carry different meaning for the ecosystem, to be cooked, to be disassembled into bait again, and so on. So we're trying to spin off an ecosystem from this mechanic. And I think why it has been successful is because like we run this trust model where we say like, okay, you've been early investor in our characters, which we call souls. And from this point, we just built functionality and use cases on top. So you had your RMRK NFT, and you could immediately like start going fishing with that NFT, and you would get like new NFTs with that carried also some special meaning with that without us earning money in between. So it was like 1 year of delivering functionality without ever charging really the player. And I think that is one recipe piece that we build trust with the people.
That makes sense. So the fish themselves were NFTs as well once you caught them.
Yes.
Did you guys
everything was NFTs?
Right. So did you guys have it set up where kind of like, when you vote on Kusama, you get the shelf and you can display your items, your NFTs. Did you guys have something set up like that with the fish too? In case nobody wanted to do anything with them, they could just display them.
Yeah. So we actually built exactly that. We built like a fishing board.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
So what I was thinking when you were saying, sending off the character, your soul to do a mission and come back, it reminded me of like Clash of Clans where you have a builder that's got to build your cannon, but it's like, it's going to take 12 hours. So you just send them to go build it. And then 12 hours later, you come back and it's done. And you can send the builder off to go do something else in that version of that game. Is kind of basically what you guys have set up, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's what we call idle mechanic.
Idle mechanic. Okay. And then, like you said, you go. So what's it's medieval fit. What's the world, or is there world, city? There's different names for everything, correct?
Yes. We have so we have one person on the team that is a pure lore writer, and he spun up the whole lore, and it's like dozens and dozens of, even hundreds right now, hours that went into the world of Estra that has like 2 continents,
awesome.
Telkarna and Forhoma, and these continents, they are divided into sections, and these sections will be the acts in which the game will take place, similar to the acts in Diablo. So there will be the first act is the desert of Geisha, and it's the southern part of the continent, and it's ruled by the caliphate, and there is a big lore and like big history of the world, but also some economical trends where we see what happens in the world, and we see goods flowing from the north to the south, and people have to adapt. And it's a big and very lively lore and history that is also evolving with the player taking decisions. So there is a lot in the background.
That's so
cool.
Well,
one big goal of ours, for example, is to create an experience for the players where they can influence the world as well. So have like real-time events that, for example, influence how everything takes place. So for example, I don't know, a building burns down and you have the ability to put out the fire, or just let it burn, and that decides basically in which direction the lore evolves. So that's a big plan of ours as well.
Oh, that's cool.
But you have to say that what we mean, like when we say building burns down, like the main front end of the game right now is that the people are in the desert town of Trakan. It's a small desert town. It has walls, There is lore happening. You can visit different buildings. So you kind of always like your main screen always is like this truck hunting, and then you can go to the port, you can go to the tavern, and so on and so on. And what Loom means, like with the house starts burning, there could be an event that the house starts burning for everyone, right? And this is kind of a voting thing where it's a global decision for the people that renders the story differently for everybody else after the event has been passed. And there is so much you can do with this stuff. You can just imagine what you can do with it.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that Tricon place, that's like the picture of the city that's on the website, right? Okay, cool.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, like imagine like a building burns down in one area in like the west or north, I don't know, or like the left area. That can be like, I don't know, like a savage part of the town all of a sudden. The next thing you know, like people just have different characters there. Like, I don't know, that's pretty crazy.
Oh,
so
the possibilities are endless for anything. I mean, the world is literally your creation, so you can go anywhere which way you want with it.
Are a lot of non-Web3 blockchain based NFT based games doing things like that where they're letting the community globally decide? Because, games are written and they have the storylines, and sure, you can move around as you make decisions based on what's presented to you, but like games don't, as far as I know, provide that level of like capability to shape things. Is that something you're seeing mainly from the capabilities of having voting like that
That's a very good question, yeah. Because it's and I don't have a real answer to that. I don't know. I know that many games are like most games, as you say, are scripted to some part and have a very linear start. What we also try to achieve, because we don't want like 1 million options at the start. It should be somehow linear at the start to get the player on the first like set of rails, and then they can get in different directions. But I have not seen a mixture between like global and local or personal progression as we do it for now. And I think this is a thing where Web3 in the community and like Discord and all of that really play a role. But I can imagine there are games that do something similar. I think it's with the attachment to your character and your NFT that makes people much more emotionally connected maybe to what's happening.
That's really cool.
That's my guess.
I mean, technically, when you think about it, your storyline, you have, of course, like some defined lore to move forward, because there's a world you've created. But who knows, a big enough global event that people vote on, essentially could fork your lore, and essentially, or send it in another direction. Back to what you said, this is cool. And now, like, Ryan and I have questions, but like, I don't know, we're just talking about whatever now.
We're not following the show.
Not following anything. I literally look over, I'm like, I have no idea. That's fine. We keep going. What you said is cool. And I think it's something to think about when it comes to, blockchain gaming. Because I think at some level, people are like, blockchain gaming, well, what does this mean? Like, they might be like, I'm playing it, like, sure, I had to, have this soul or character or whatever in my wallet, but like outside of that, they might not necessarily understand that something, because of how the game is designed, it allows for things like that, a lore change. But beyond that, having your soul, your character as an NFT really, as you said, does create that bond. Like it's like yours, it's not like the game, you log into the game and your character is waiting for, it's like you equip that, you build that, and that base you actually own it. And I mean, even if you guys decided to F off and whatever, I'm sure, the community would be like, screw this. Developers would pop up and try to do as good a job as Lucas. They wouldn't be able to, but they try. But like, that's the good thing about the blockchain and Web3 and the basics of it being on the blockchain. It could continue regardless, and you're not completely at the whim of the developers. Not saying you guys aren't, sticking around, but I think it's something for people to think about that are listening, that are newer, that there's true ownership of the asset here. And that's going to create a very, very intimate personal experience and connection with the character in the game, which I guess is why your community is so strong and so like, tied in. I've heard about like the naming contest for like the cat and, all the stuff that you guys have done to kind of engage the community as they go forward. So no, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think the point you were just touching with you being able to kind of like identify maybe with your character and build them out and equip different stuff. Like we can apply that to the NFTs, obviously, with RMRK. But I think what we're trying to apply here as well is that you even are able to influence the whole world. So not only your character, but also feel connected to the world, because you can actually move something in there. So it goes like a step beyond, right? We're not trying to create a play to earn model or anything. Our main focus is on the people having fun and actually enjoying what they're doing there. So trying to make everything as seamless and as good of an experience as we can is the highest value basically for us.
That's good. I like that, because a lot of I know you guys have talked about this before, but and we hate this. Ryan and I have talked about this too, about like basically if you have the most assets, if you have the most tokens, if you have the most even money to throw in the game, then you're like, okay, you're gonna not win or whatever, you'll exceed, right? But like that's such a barrier. Like, even what do we always talk about? We always talk about Axie Infinity.
Axie Infinity.
Yeah, it's like you can't I can't start and play that game and have a good time, because I can't afford it. Like to battle my Axie or whatever, it's going to cost me like $2,500 or something stupid. So
I think the main problem there is if you create a game where you advertise to players that there's like a value extraction for you, players are gonna extract that value. So there's no way around it. And in the end, if there are no more people coming in, somebody has to lose, right? So I think that's the main problem for me with all those projects. They promise this endless return, but obviously once people stop coming in, it's just a few people sitting on NFTs that are on paper worth a lot, but if nobody wants them, nobody's going to pay for it. So that's the main problem we see there. So we really try to focus on the fun aspect of it, and that's what we're trying to communicate as well all the time, that we're not trying to be an investment. We don't promise you any return of investment. We promise you a good time, and I think if you focus on that, the value will come by itself.
Nice.
For sure. And this isn't a play to earn game either, right? That's the main thing too, that a lot of projects are they throw that keyword out there now as play to earn. But this is like you earn in it. Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. The discussion about play to earn, I think it has evolved within the last 6 months to more models than play to earn, because people realize play to earn really that isn't really sustainable. But when we started a year ago, we already said that play to earn, like for me, often these were not games. These were DeFi frontends in the form of games. Nothing really more, because you were doing like the abstract things you were doing were pretty much the same as you did in DeFi, but the costume and the interface was a bit like a game. And
interesting. Whoa, that's cool. Yeah.
And when we saw this, we saw where's obviously the big game studios were struggling, and it touches on your first like remark around blockchain gaming and so on, because I think it has a like really bad, like blockchain and NFT gaming are in a really bad shape in terms of perception from the outside, because people have been burned. People see these projects and see this value extraction, and then see these news of like projects where at the end there were some click farms in the Philippines that and so on. You know all the story, right?
Yeah,
and it's not about fun anymore. Yeah, and what we like, I love these games that have honest business models where it's about fun, like what Riot Gaming managed to do with Valorant or League of Legends, Dota, and so on, that are like free to play, yes, but then you have cosmetics, and it's a fair business model for everyone, right? It's okay, and like the people that want to pay, they can pay. And obviously, yes, there are some stories of like young kids paying too much for skins and so on. But overall, the model is much better than always get and grab the next loot box and always like have the next micropayment around the corner, because that ultimately feels like milking your players, and that makes a game, in my eyes, unsustainable. And I've seen games spun up again with that same short-sighted view to extract some money from some kind of coin startup or token sales. But then it went down pretty quickly. And this is what we didn't want to be. And I think we conveyed that pretty pretty nice. And as Lou said, I mean, when you look at the price and the floor price of our NFT, I think we were one of the best bear hedges you could make, because they're right now like 5x in price, and that was still a good hedge in terms of bear market. But that's not at all our focus. Like, I'm not watching the floor at all. Like, we're just building.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you guys ever played CS:GO, but I was a pretty big CS:GO nerd when I was younger. And I still remember this feeling of like identifying, like you got a new knife. I'm not sure if I'm talking into a void now and you don't know what I'm talking about. Like,
I don't,
like getting
but I'm
a
listening.
skin.
I don't.
Yeah, but like getting a skin in CS:GO and like identifying with it and finding it cool and seeing all those little details. I still remember that, like the game is basically, it is free to play and everybody can enjoy it, but then being able to individualize your experience and showing it others. And I did a lot of trading back in the day, like CS:GO skin trading when it was still possible. And just this feeling of having these completely cosmetic skins, but that somehow make you feel more aligned with the game. I just love that feeling so much. And I think that's what we're trying to achieve there as well. People liking the game, and because they like the game, they want to enhance their experience. So yeah.
Man, that's
So,
cool.
To be clear, like, skins will not be like the only means that we're trying to do. Like, for us, it's just a stand-in for a mechanic that doesn't hurt the game and is a win-win for everybody. But we are planning on like different ways of earning, which is right now not possible. But apart from the scam stuff we've seen.
Okay, I have so many. Every time Decker talks, it's like a mini TED talk. It's good. Well, thank you. It's like we're on a panel of the future of gaming, and okay, and the connection between play to earn being like DeFi, with a different mask. That was super deep. I want to make sure y'all caught that. But that's pretty cool, and that made me think about a lot of this stuff is like trickle in earnings, of course, which are not viable unless your currency is not, at the same par of Western currencies or European currencies. So which is, why we got those click farms. And we did an episode last year with an individual that basically set up a whole poker.
He set up a guild, basically.
A poker guild and he had individuals in, where were they?
Philippines. It was Philippines.
Okay. Yep. And they were able to.
They played poker like 12 hours a day, just siphoning the money.
Yeah. But of course, because of the currency exchange and the salaries that they're making, and it turns out like someone who'd gone to school and was they were making in like a month what they would make in a year being a nurse in a hospital. And they're just like, all right, buying computers and doing that. And it's not feasible or viable. That's not how the model is. It's not what we wanted for the model. We wanted some viability for us, for everyone, and not to say.
The only good thing for them is that they were now making a wage, right? Like a livable. Yeah, they were making money for themselves, but for the rest of us, I can't sit on my computer for 12 hours.
Exactly. And then you look at it, then people see that they develop models that become predatory and like you said, they're raising money in ICOs. That it's just not sustainable when you have other individuals that can sit there and have a completely different lifestyle, a completely different economy, completely different way of operating on a daily basis, so that when you go in, someone's already there and they just they've just run in and cleared the assets, or they're just like playing constantly. It's just like it kind of destroys the game aspect of it that's enjoyable, which makes the earning, which is minimal, not even worth it. So then the economy collapses and the games disappear. I told Ryan to ask something. Now I'm going to butt in. When we were talking earlier on about fishing and whatnot, what else can be done that creates this in-game economy or earning or value? I know the characters can't like earn per se yet, but what else can they do? Can you like fish, sell stuff at a market? I don't know, build a fence? Like what else? I'm just made up random stuff.
Build fences.
So we tried to build a small economy. We tried to build a small economy, basically, in the sense of everything kind of works together. Meaning, for example, you can go log some wood, and when you come back with wood, you can use that wood to craft a fishing rod, for example. And with that fishing rod, again, you have better chances of catching the more rare fish. So we tried to come up with a first, like, you have to understand, like we were a pretty small team at first, and everything started out with a pretty small vision, I would say. Everything grew over time. So we always tried to create like a first loop that is pretty simple, let's say, and build on top of it. Like we really try to create a solid foundation which we can build on top of. So our first idea was to create this fishing mechanism where people basically have the goal of catching them all, like with different rarities. And coming with that, you were basically able to fetch resources to better your chances for those fish and craft some different food resources and stuff like that. So everything kind of works in together. And what we also created, because we thought it's kind of necessary for an RPG like we have, is a marketplace. So we were actually the first ones that also used the remark technology for that, meaning it's completely on-chain, where we have a marketplace where people can exchange NFTs for NFTs. So I don't know, maybe you caught this fish you already have. It's like a duplicate for you, but maybe it's quite rare. Somebody else could need it, and he offers 10 wood for that. So you were able to, or are still able to, exchange 10 wood for a fish. So it's like a bidding system, like a trade bidding system, but with NFTs instead of currency. So that's like another use case for the players, basically. And we tried to make it as immersive as possible. So it's not like its own page or anything. It's in the game as well. There's like a big point of interest where you can go to, and then you click on like a market stall next to a trader, and that opens up the window for you to trade. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. Would you guys, I guess, in the evolving of the game, offer up the crafting of weapons or armor? I guess that's going to be coming down the road.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I figured. Okay, so with the souls are the characters. Can we, I guess, just hear about some of the what are the characters and tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah. So the people. So the basic lore is that there is the continent that the first generation of souls come from is in a big turmoil, and like the king that united the regions has left his throne. So the continent sinks in chaos, and war spins off, and people flee from the continent. And you're amongst the people that catch the ship that also that took a year before the king to flee to this continent, because he was seeking something greater there. And this is where we are in the story. And then we arrive in this foreign place, which is this desert town of Drakan, where we are all now. And this is where the story unravels. And sorry, before I go too much in lore, was your question about lore?
What? No, you could do. So, what was the supply of the souls? The original,
because
I know you guys had the initial sale, but then you'd burned off what was left or something.
Yeah. Gotcha. So it happened like this. It was roughly a year ago, not something like that, and we had one. Not like 999 called tarot cards. You can imagine them to be like some egg mechanic, like the Canaria eggs.
Right.
And we sold about 800, 700
something.
something.
We sold about 800 of them. Yeah, I think we burned around 150. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we said is, until a certain point, like we're not going to keep any unless, but just the mark. We had some left for the team for marketing purposes. And so we burned like the ones that weren't sold, and the ones that players owned, they could go to our front end and reveal on our front end, like click and reveal that. And the process was pretty nice, because we had this tarot card and it started spinning, and then it went like up in the sky, and then there was kind of the depending on which class you got. So there were 3 classes you could get. It was like showing your star sign, which resembled that class. So kind of an arrow for the ranger class and so on. And then it was leading to a screen where it showed like, this is the character you've got. That's the name of the character. That's the backstory of the character. That's the metadata of the character, like this luck, how much strength, this much agility. And these are the items that are on the character. So each character had a chance on each slot, like for example, left hand, right hand, and so on, to have an item equipped already. And it was quite rare to have an item. So you see a lot of souls that come in with bare minimum clothing, and some that were lucky and got an X. And an X could be coming in like common, rare, epic, and even legendary, which is like nearly impossible to get. And yeah, that's what was the first stage of the game before we had that. And this was like then 800 of them are in circulation, and they are like 3 classes. It's the Berserker, like a dual wield guy. And we have the Ranger, classic boned arrow from the distance. And there is the Alchemist, that is kind of a master of concoctions and potions and like sneaky fighting with mixtures and stuff like this.
That's awesome. How many slots does a character have?
So we have the head, we have the 2 arms. So we put in purposely we put some extra slots in there if we want to expand in the future.
Smart.
But I think right now you can equip 7 or 8, but I think they're like 15 or something in there. So there's still a possibility to grow. Yeah. But at the moment, I think there are eight slots you can actually fill.
Nice.
So, like head, hand,
both hands,
body, both hands, body, and then like legs or whatever. Or
so like legs, and then we have like a background slot, and then we have so we had like a collaboration, for example, with the governance collection. So that's like an extra frame you can equip. It kind of looks cool, purely cosmetic, but it kind of showcases that you're into governance on Kusama. And then
let me explain that, Lou.
We have an amulet.
So once you've voted on a certain proposal in governance, right? You have the shelf collection, right? So there was a vase you could put in your shelf once you voted on that specific referendum. This vase had a second resource to that vase that you could equip onto your Evrl00t character too.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Once it was equipped in the shelf collection, it was a vase on your shelf, and once it was equipped to your soul, it got like a cool background effect of your soul.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I can see
what RMRK can do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could see, like, if you guys got to the point where it's like you have guilds or crews within Evrl00t, and it's like, I choose this crew, and then you get an NFT to change your background. So everyone knows, looking at that background, oh, he's part of the Berserkers clan or whatever. You don't want to mess with him. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's what we like about RMRK as well. I think that's what we liked about RMRK so much as well, is like the possibility to collaborate, right? That's, I think, one of the biggest strengths they mentioned as well. I think I made with Bruno a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the main things he mentioned as well when I asked him what he likes the most about RMRK. It's the possibility to collaborate with other collections. Like, you could have the Canaria bird that is just a bird in Skybreach when Skybreach comes out, but then we could add another resource to the bird that's represented completely different in our game. So you can use these NFTs over different collections, over different metaverses, however you want, and it's just so cool and allows so much creativity as well.
So technically, a bird from Canaria could get an Evrl00t skin and then go fishing at the port with like just being a bird, like doing that, and like getting a sneak peek of the game, and even get some items back for the Canary use cases on the other side, right? And this is like the creativity and the options are endless.
For sure.
So that's like a big deal. And I've always thought of it, like, people will talk about that way back. Like, you own this, and you own your NFT, you own your character, and potentially, that could allow for cross-chain, cross-game use or whatever. And I think a lot of people probably think, but like, what game's going to actually allow or have the capability to have your NFT just enter it, because people think like games look different, they have different, visual characteristics. So it's like, but realistically, because of the protocol, it's like you're all operating from that basis of understanding. And you're saying realistically, maybe this is Lucas, like how crazy would it be from a coding standpoint to actually say, oh, this individual has, wants to play Evrl00t, and you've talked to the Canaria people or whatever, and, and you're actually going to import that NFT. I mean, not to say you actually have to do it. I don't want to talk about things that maybe are secretly, Decker's probably going to start pacing the room and be like, Luke, shut up, don't say anything. But like, from a real, like, technical standpoint, is this really, really already a possibility, or is it not even just for your game? You can just talk broadly, but, is it really possible to be able to do something like that? Or is it like years out when people understand the protocol better and like marry the graphics and all that stuff?
Yeah, no. So that's that's basically Remark was built for that, and it was one of the visions for from Bruno as well. So it's actually quite easy. So when you are the minter of a collection, you need to add the resources, but the only thing you need to do as the other collection is basically whitelist them. So the let's say we want to integrate Canaria into our game, and we want to give them like a look that feels more natural in our game. Like we don't want those colorful birds. We don't want those colorful items. We want like a medieval look and everything. They would add those resources. We have to basically whitelist them, and once they have done that, if people want to join with the bird, they can. We obviously still need to add it into the front end that we allow those NFTs, but it's super easy because of that multi-resource nature of these NFTs. You can just add different looks to them, and depending on where you are, we would just display the one that fits to our game. So it's really quite straightforward. And I think so. The main thing for us is, since we are moving to EVM right now, we had some talks obviously with Remark as well, and we had some collaborations planned way back in the day when we weren't ready technically for it yet. Like we were kind of afraid, since there are like over 8,000 Canarias, I think we were afraid of having this flood of people coming into our game and us just not being prepared enough. But especially now on EVM, I think it's pretty obvious that there's going to come something like this. And that's the awesome part about it as well. It's like a win-win for everybody. The more use case there are for your NFTs, the better for the player, for the NFT holder. And it just opens a whole new world for everything. Yeah, you have one character in different games. That's amazing.
That's so cool.
Awesome. And what Bruno also always says, I like that a lot, is he says that it stops the cannibalism, or the, like, what does he call it? Like that each collection is like vampire style devouring the next one, because we have a limited attention and money setting each and every one. But with that, I mean, it's obviously hard to like explain it to someone that's used to play like League of Legends and Dota, and say like, okay, you now have your push skin of the Dota hero, and then you could apply it to your League of Legends hero that's like not in there. It's like the Nautilus doesn't fit. But like we're in an NFT world where the attention and the time span of NFT projects is much shorter. And when we manage to do that we manage to bring that stuff together and give that an additional use case, we can cross not just the NFT technically, but we can cross over the communities. We can give the people, like we can send communities over to someone else without like losing them, because it's a win-win for both collections, right? So we can, like what we did with the collection with the governance NFTs. Some people of our community have never done governance voting before, and they did because they got the Evrl00t item. And some people from the governance community, they thought, hey, this thing has a cool new resource. I might as well try if I have it.
For sure. And Devon, they have a collab with our buddy Moonbeam and Chimpax.
Nice.
I knew I had to look it up because I was like, I'm positive I remember Evrl00t being with them. So, and I guess with the evolving and the resourcing, I guess technically you guys could go from like being in a medieval time era in your game and evolve it to like the next time era. Like you could do everything, right? Like you could start to like space travel. We're living in space now. Evrl00t in space. Yeah, you know what I mean? You just kind of like can you age NFTs too? You can do the same thing, right?
Sure.
You could have it as a child, then over a year it evolves to like a teenager, right?
So how this works is we would need to send new resources to the player that the player would need to accept. And let's say we've minted a baby NFT and we want to have it like a small child later on, we would send a new resource that the player needs to accept. But if we give enough incentive, let's say you can only like unlock with the small kid, you can only like unlock certain missions or so, like they're incentivized.
Right.
And players could choose, but we could not force the small child onto that NFT.
I'd be the person that never accepts the resource. And Ryan would be like, are you ever going to accept this? I'd be like, no, I like it how it is. And just get trapped.
That's a cool thing. That's a cool possibility we have with our front end. Since everything is in there, we can like gamify it. So it doesn't feel like a burden for you. Like we've heard about a lot of projects where they're like, I need to accept this. But if you are like in a game front end, or if you are in our game front end specifically, it doesn't feel for you as a burden or as like a chore you need to do.
No, that's really cool.
Blends into the game.
No, that's actually, I think, a really big point because accepting the resources, sometimes you're like, wait, what? And like click it and you're like looking and I think if it looked the way that Evrl00t's going to look and it's just a pop up being like, I think that would change it completely, masking what's happening behind. Really, really cool.
We can say you leveled up, like you will unlock this and this, confirm, right? And what it does is we send the transaction to accept the NFT on that, right? It's masked.
Oh,
okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's easy. Because it's funny, my introduction to getting into RMRK NFTs and all that was actually voting. Doing all that stuff. We had a friend, we call him Producer Paps for the podcast, but he's like, you guys got to get over here and check it out. So my introduction was the governance and actually voting. So slowly I'm getting into the rest of all the projects, but it's been, that would be awesome to just be able to hide that back end stuff and boom.
Yeah. It's cool. Okay. And we'll move on to some other stuff after. So, do you have any plans for in-game token? I asked it so weird. I'm like,
you did.
I've never been on a podcast before. I'm like, hi, I'm reading off cue cards. Is there any? I mean, who knows? I know you guys have talked. We kind of talked about that. Where you guys, I imagine, like you want to kind of be cautious about how you create actual currency or whatnot. But like, what are your thoughts there? Even if you can expand on that more.
Yeah. I think I can maybe touch on that. So we don't at the moment. I feel like every big project at some point it's almost inevitable, but we really don't want to think about it now. I've had a pretty long talk with somebody out of the community a few weeks ago about stuff like tokens, and like one of the first things he told me was if he heard that a game is introducing a token, that's almost always negative for him. Like just what pops into his head is like a negative thought. So I think if we were ever to do it, we would again try to mask it in the game. It wouldn't be like, okay, we're launching this token now. It would feel natural in the game, like you earn it somewhere and then you can use it for another action. We wouldn't want to put it into the spotlight, let's say. But I think it needs to feel natural. There needs to be enough use case. I think you have seen that over and over again with other projects and chains. They launch their token and you can't really do anything with it. We would really want to, stay away from that. So I think at some point, probably the time is right, but that's nothing we are thinking about at the moment.
No, that's a good idea. Masking it with in-game makes sense. Like you mask it as like, it's like I don't know, bushels of wheat that's currency, or like bread or fruit or something in the game. I don't know. I'm just making up medieval things that they shells from the thing, and that's. Maybe that's something, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. We kind of touched on that earlier on, but that's pretty good. That makes sense. Shells.
It touches a bit on my like DeFi thing, because I feel that why is that negative thing coming up? Because people have seen that there was like some like game that sometimes it was even just like the bootstrap version of a Unity game made from template A. And then that led up to a token sale. And basically this was the core concept of the game, right? Leading up to the token sale and hoping that the people invest because they've seen something. And this is, I think, where a lot of distrust from the community comes, because like not everything that happened before was a pitch to make like the developers rich with the next token. And this is why we say we would be super careful with this, but obviously it also has some real good upsides for us. For the marketplace that Lou mentioned, for other things. So eventually it will be a bigger topic, but until we need that, and we found out that investors love tokens, but until we really need that or need investors, as Lou said, we're trying to do what's best for the players.
I think we try to wait for the moment where it's basically inevitable. Like we get to a certain, I think to a certain stage or like to a certain degree of size where we're like, okay, there's no way around it now. But I think as long as we don't reach there, and as long as we really don't see the upside of it and the use cases, I think that's nothing we want to think about right now. Yeah.
Fair enough. That's good.
Love it.
I did have a quick question. My mind went. Oh, with the gameplay, I noticed like the characters have hit points and stuff like that. Do you guys? A lot of the games we've been talking to recently have been, battle games. And do you guys have any or plans to do it where players can battle each other, or is it just strictly go into a dungeon, fight characters, and then come back kind of
Get
thing?
the loot.
Yeah.
Oh,
You want to touch on that, Deckard, or should I?
Do you take giggle for an answer? Is that fine?
That's fine with me. We'll leave it at that.
We do.
I just know a lot of games, and a lot of our focus or projects we end up having on are from Cardano. We did talk to a friend of mine who was introducing Champions Ascension to us last week, which same kind of thing. They're medieval, run around with monsters, but you could battle. They have a 1v1, a 3v3. So it just made me think of like any plans down the road. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I can touch a bit on it. So what we tend to do always, if we set up a mechanism like in this case fighting, we try to make it as abstract as possible, so we can easily switch to like non-monsters as enemies.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yes.
If I can touch on something else in combat, once we like the part where I mentioned like Monkey Island style point and click stuff, talking to people, like we built a whole framework that is connected to a tool that's called Arcweave, where we can spin off like the lore writer just writes lore in this tool. That is kind of a lore writing tool with had a lot of branches. Like if you say that, then you go to that the dialogue tree and so on. And we directly integrate that to our backend so that we can really have a very good, like a very fast and a very good way to develop dialogues and new points of interest later on. And this is kind of like a lot of the stuff we're building isn't really hacked together. It's really set up to support, like a company of like many lore writers and many backend developers later on. And I think this is also the good time that the bear market allows us to do that. We kind of prepare for the big waves that's coming to have a product there that is really, really capable of delivering.
And this is why you invest in teams that are building in a bear market.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Yeah. The vision.
The time to build is now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I always love Ryan and I always end up asking some questions that where the people are always just like, try to tease that NFG alpha out of you guys, but it's cool. It's cool. It's good.
So we teased it already. We can touch a bit more on the specific question maybe. So we teased how expeditions are going to work with like encountering monsters, for example. And we were, at least my vision for those encounters with monsters from the beginning was to set it up. So instead of a monster, there's just another player. Like you use this engine you're building and you can just plug in whatever you want. I mean, it could maybe even be a Canaria if we want at some point. Like we give them certain stats and then your character fights against a Canaria bird. So we always try to kind of have this big vision where things could go and give us as much space as possible to be creative if we feel like it. So I think that's generally a great approach if you're trying to build long term.
Very
I'm
cool.
like Deckard. I just got tons of ideas now. I'm like, you could do like, people get to choose good teams versus bad teams. Like, there's just so many things, so many avenues that you guys could do with this game. And
you realize why this is fun?
Yeah, for cool. Real. Like, it just my head starts spinning. Like, there's so many things.
The title makes more sense now. Evrl00t. Yeah. Okay, it's good. I like it. All right. So I'm thinking, do we go down and ask a very basic question, although it could be like super complicated. EVM. What is EVM? What does it mean to you guys? Like, are you guys thinking about that? How is it affected? Does it affect you guys at all? EVM being Ethereum virtual machine, but like maybe you guys can explain that for people and like, I don't know, any of your thoughts on it as it relates to you and the game.
I can maybe start on. So you guys mentioned Moonbeam already. So we are in the middle of the process of migrating to Moonbeam. So we started building with RMRK, and RMRK was only available on Kusama, not even a parachain of Kusama, but straight Kusama. So we were basically forced to build there because we really like RMRK and we really wanted to start building and not wait for the contracts. But RMRK is about to finish their contracts for remark on EVMs, meaning you can then start building the same Lego technology, let's call it like that, on EVMs as well. So we are actually already done with our contract. So you can already develop with them, and we already built our contracts out for these characters, but we're still waiting for the contracts to turn into ERCs so we can be sure that nothing is changing and we don't all of a sudden get incompatible with other collections. But yeah, we are moving to an EVM, to Moonbeam more specifically, because of all the possibilities it gives us. Like a big driving factor for us was a bigger community. Obviously, EVM just attracts more people, and so does Moonbeam on Polkadot. So that was a big one for us. We feel like we kind of got all the eyes in Kusama NFT already. So we want to reach out to the EVM crowd. And then the other obvious part is smart contract. So we are really excited, and we are really lucky with our team as well, with one of our main developers, QBG. He already worked in the Ethereum space, so he's really well versed in smart contracts. So we are using that technology, because until now we had to build our own backend and everything. And now being able to leverage smart contracts is a completely new world. Like the possibilities are basically endless, and what you can build is so much cooler than what we were able to do before. So it is a big part for us, and we were actually completely discontinuing on Kusama. So everything's going to be migrated over to Moonbeam, and then we are full on EVM.
Wow.
Two things I want to add. We have so you talked about the migration just. So what we have ready, it's just like we're just like waiting until the ERCs are finalized so that there are no more changes. Because like if we implemented yesterday like we had planned, and if we went live and there's a small change, we would be incompatible to the standard, and we had to remint all of the NFTs again, costing thousands of dollars, and wouldn't make sense. So we'll wait another few days for it, but all is ready in terms of front end. So you would have like a game front end where you would log in with your Kusama wallet, and you would log in with your EVM wallet, and you have them both connected in the top right. And you would, on the left side, you have all of your Kusama assets, and you would say, and it's a guided thing. So it's kind of a meditation themed thing where you would change your
so
spirits
cool.
are cleansed and so on. And the cool thing is it's even gamified. So we want to incentivize people jumping over, and they will get a souvenir of the old world Kusama, and they get a ring, like the first ring ever in the game, with the bird logo on it for the people that jump over, and they even have a small chance of getting an epic ring. So it's a gamified fun version to jump over, and from this point on they will be living on Moonbeam over there. And the second thing is, like Lou mentioned, just like smart contracts, but what, like, as he said at the start, it was pretty much a hack at the start, because when we sent our characters to mission, what actually happened is that the character NFT that you owned, you would be like with the go to mission button, you would be physically sending that character to a wallet of ours. So you were sending that to a wallet of ours. We applied some business logic, and we sent you your character back with like with your fish, like if you were fishing for something.
Right.
And this is obviously not the perfect setup, because you would have to trust us in between that we're going to send your character back. Obviously it would have been a bad idea if we would stolen our own characters from players, but nevertheless, like what smart contracts now allow, and what Lou and the team have built, and I'm extremely proud how fast they did it, is that we have that on chain. Like we have a staking of our characters, and you can watch that stuff on chain, and it's less trust required.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's huge. That is huge, actually.
Very, very cool. On Moonbeam, I'd like to ask a stupid, embarrassing question. So, like, what the
MetaMask.
Well, I know. I was going to say, so just for people, your MetaMask is the EVM wallet. That's what I was going to say. But sorry, thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, so you can use MetaMask. We are big fans of Talisman. We just did an AMA with them. They're like the Polkadot wallet that allows you to go everywhere with a nice UI UX experience as well. But yeah, that's the cool thing. Like you can just use MetaMask and join there, and be set. So yeah, that was a big point for us as well. Just getting the MetaMask crowd, as some people call it, as well.
Yeah, I use Talisman. I love it, actually. So I would just be able to use the same wallet then.
Yeah. yeah, you're able to use. You're actually able to use in the migration front, and like you need to connect to a Kusama wallet and an Ethereum wallet, right? So you could just use Talisman for both. So you click on connect Kusama, you select your Kusama wallet, you click on connect your Moonbeam wallet, and you just use the same Talisman extension and select that wallet. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's like it's my wallet of choice too, and I would recommend Talisman a lot to everyone. But what it also allows for, like, if we have MetaMask people that, I mean, it's such a burden for people to switch wallets as well. And if people come over from another EVM wallet, it's for us, it's a huge thing that people can just say, oh, I'm like over on Cardano, but I want to experience that game. Like, okay, how do I get into this crazy ecosystem called polkadot? What do I need to do? Like, and the onboarding cost for people is much, much lower.
Yeah, we want to do an episode on Talisman because I found, like, I get so confused once we start talking about, it's like Moonbeam and Parachains and Polkadot and I get so confused, and it's like I'm in the space. I can't imagine trying to explain it to like my dad.
Yeah, I can relate.
I kind of just like end up just like leaving stuff out. I'm just like, all you need to know is that MetaMask can work. But even Moonbeam, like we were talking about it before, and we were like, it's a chain. It's its own thing. It's like one of the connecting things, like Chainlink, or that's what Ryan was saying.
Yeah,
Chainlink, we were trying to even just get a sense of, because we're like, it's a protocol that allows that connection, but it's a protocol, but it's still a chain, and that's, you can live there, but so we're just like, okay, well, all we need to know is that it's helping bridge. I said the word, it's a bridge, but it gets that Ethereum crowd over.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think like on a really high level, I think what Polkadot is all about is just the parachain. So you have like Polkadot in the bottom, and then you just have a bunch of chains that live on top of it, and they share like this layer of security through Polkadot. And then you basically can have something like Moonbeam that, like you guys said, is an EVM, so it can do everything Ethereum can as well, and it just lives on top of that. And for you as a user, it doesn't look any different than if you were just on Ethereum. So that's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, you will be able to just jump over, use MetaMask, and play Evrl00t.
Nice. Awesome. That's cool. That's all that matters. Play Evrl00t.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I have a basic question. What's the easiest way to get into the ecosystem of Evrl00t? Because I mean, what's the floor price? Floor price is pretty healthy. Like you said, it's 5 times. Is there, can anybody play? Like, I don't even know if we asked that.
Let's ask that. We didn't even talk about if someone listening wants to be able to start, what do they do?
So currently the only way for you to get in is to purchase a soul. Basically, it's like a soul is your entry ticket into the game. So like you said, the floor price is pretty hefty at the moment. I think it's around 8 or 9 KSM, with KSM being, I think, at around like $35, maybe a bit more or less right now. But it's a pretty hefty entry point, and we are aware that also means that it's not really achievable for a lot of people. So we are going to try to make it more affordable, because we obviously want to get more players into the game. But if you are interested right now, you can snatch up one on secondary. So we're not selling any more of them. You can get them from other players, maybe even with some cool equipment already on the soul. Or we also had stats that you could advance. So like levels, you could get better at fishing. You could get better at logging wood. So you can even get a soul that's already a master woodlogger, for example. But that's at the moment the only way to get in.
So like marketing wise, this is like the worst possible call to action I have, because it's like, no, don't spend the money at Evrl00t, just like give it to random internet guys and like go, not give it to developers. Like if you you can obviously do that, because like there are people who have multiple characters, multiple souls. But what I want to advertise is after like the big push to getting this more real-time stuff happening, we're going to have a second sale that's going to happen in a similar fashion, as I said, like the tarot cards, revealing them, and so on and so on. So this will happen with new classes. That's like super alpha. We didn't teaser that before, with new classes and new origins and new backstories, and they behave differently as the old ones. But it's also designed that the collections that are available now are always more valuable than the ones you can get in the future. And we want to keep like the values of the OGs, but always give a carrot on the stick to have some nice mechanics that you still want while your back can still grow in the back end. And this is very, very tough thing to balance, but there will be around June. We hope June will be a planned sale that will go towards the team funding and help us develop through the bear market further. So yeah, if you like super, like I need to try that now, go to Singular, buy a soul from someone.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I can tell. I can always tell when Ryan's like, you're talking, and then Ryan's eyes just like start going, and I'm like, I see, I'm like, okay, he's gonna start. Then at the end of this, he's gonna be like, check out this number, and like, okay,
it's 8.75 M or KSM is the floor.
That's
so
probably,
I did the math. It's about 480 Canadian.
I was gonna say because KSM's like 45
bucks, yeah, Canadian.
Oh wow!
And we sold them for I think 70 Canadian. That was the sell price in the mid declining bull market, right? So it's
that's good.
It is good hedge. It has been a good hedge, but like we didn't sell anything like any soul collection within the last year. So we've been pretty consistent on delivering values for them. And what we ultimately want to do, like we don't want to have a business model for us that is solely depending on giving you new stuff, because that's for us, it's like pay to win. Or especially we don't want to give you like axes or swords for $200 or something. That's like against everything we stand for. But what we want to have is like we want to enable a player base with a like small entry ticket price for you. But then you have kind of this ecosystem that we can slightly tax, like trades on the market and stuff like that. And this is like we want to grow to the point where the ecosystem kind of pays for our development costs. But this is a long road to go.
I think what's interesting to touch.
Sorry, go ahead, Lucas.
Sorry. Yeah, well, I think what's interesting to touch on as well is because Deckard mentioned it, we try to keep this value for old souls, and like you can have mechanisms. I don't know, like airdrops, from a lot of projects. But what we, as like a team that really focuses on content and the fun of the gameplay, can leverage as well is, for example, just allowing them to experience the game in a different way. So if you really like the world of Astra, if you really like the lore behind it, like there are going to be certain arches, let's call them, that are only available for those Genesis souls, even in later cities. So we can really use the content side of things and the fun side of things as well to give more value to those old souls.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. I guess that's cool. It kind of gives those souls a home. If a certain place has more value there, then it's like, okay, that's cool.
Speaking of home, is breeding going to be introduced? I noticed there's male and female characters. I'm on here and it just made me.
Ryan's going down the rabbit hole. Speaking of home,
I don't think there's any talkings of breeding yet. Yeah, but it's interesting for sure.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm just making up combinations of our souls in my head. I'm thinking, I don't want to breed that.
Have one if you send a resource to another to make another. Yeah, that's
okay. We actually had our producer Paps. He sent a few questions. I just wanted to throw one out there right now. Where was the one? He says, do you feel that moving from Kusama to an EVM version of RMRK is a clear indication that the polkadot ecosystem is never going to be as successful as Ethereum?
Jeez, producer Paps.
He's got two more.
Let me start on that.
But
I don't think so either. Go ahead, Clue.
I think just because you're like using technology that somebody else is using as well doesn't mean that you're like saying your technology isn't good enough. I think the interesting thing about polkadot, and it's super technical now as well, you have like this substrate crowd. So it's like with pellets and everything. I don't want to get too technical, but you have like the EVM crowd kind of and the substrate crowd, and it's like two different technical approaches to it. And I think the main thing Polkadot tried to achieve with going into directions with EVM and stuff like that is just to cater to everybody. Like Polkadot tries to be the place where everybody can go. And I don't think it's really fair to try to point that into a negative light, I'd say. Because basically they're just trying to be a home for everybody. They're not trying to copy something, or they're not trying to admit that their tech is weaker or anything, because it obviously isn't. I think it's by far the most advanced ecosystem. but they are trying to give everybody possibility to get into. And if there's somebody that really likes Ethereum, he can love it just as much on Polkadot. And I think it's awesome. It's really inclusive, and it's really opening for everybody.
Yeah, to add on that, I think it's an interesting question, but I think a lot of like motivations behind that question, or why you would ask that, is also what we see is that there is kind of this conflict of ideologies somehow. And for example, like I need to be like 100% decentralized, because if I'm not, then I'm not a blockchain thing, right? And we don't believe in this maximalism, because what we believe in fun as like the number one priority that we're having, and making it accessible and easy, and as little, like people should feel the blockchain as little as possible, but still have a meaningful ownership, right? And what we have with EVM, it's like we inherit the properties of Ethereum, but we don't lose much, right? We're still like, we can have the shared security of Polkadot. Like this has always been planned, that it's been like this. I feel that making a successful game, it's important to have also trade-offs to be done, to make it fun, to have the crowds in there, because what's a game if it lives in like for 25 people that love some kind of technology? The game needs to also grow and needs to get reach, especially for what we have.
I think that's what we have been seeing in the whole Polkadot space for quite some time. Like we were at Polkadot Decoded in Berlin last year, and we really liked it there. It was an awesome event, but we saw how much people there focused on the tech, like on the infrastructure and everything around it. And we were kind of surprised how little end user focused applications there were. Like nobody was talking about the end user being like their goal to talk to. Like everybody was talking about this new security. OpenGov was a big thing there, like this new governance system. So we saw a lot of people focusing on the infrastructure, but we saw very little projects really trying to cater to the end user. So I think EVM is just one of those leverage possibilities to cater to the end users, because ultimately a chain needs its end users. So without it, it's basically that. Like if nobody wants to use it, you might as well shut it down. So
no, that's a super good point. Actually, Ryan and I have always talked about that, how we're like, you watch a Polkadot YouTube video or conference or anything, and it's so technical. It's like
very technical.
Like we were thinking, because we understand, we like it, we know it's definitely going to be there to connect everything, but it's just like we can't understand it, and we don't. It's not even like we have other applications that are end user based to relate back and say this is what we understand from the technical stuff. So with Polkadot, it's kind of like, I like the technical. I really don't mind trying to understand as much as I can, but it's like the applications of such I'm just not seeing, so I don't have anything to relate it to on the front. Like there's no front end that I can relate it back to and understand the benefit. So I'm kind of glad that you said that, because it's made me like just understand the chain and their progress a lot less. I just understand the concept of it. So no, I don't really understand how effective or how promising something might be, because I have no idea what's going to be done with it. And I don't know if they care. Maybe they're just like, we don't care because we're going to be here as the foundation, and everyone can connect to us as the hub, and we'll be the backbone or the foundation of a lot of chains being able to communicate. But I'm not really sure.
No, completely. I completely understand it. Even for me, like being in this space for over a year now, there's still some stuff I haven't fully understood yet. And I can't imagine how it is for people, for one, not having a technical background, and for two, just not being from the space. It's so hard. And like I said, so many people are focusing on the technical space. So we as Evrl00t really see our focus in trying to cater to those that maybe don't care as much. They know that it's a cool system, it's a cool ecosystem. They really focus on the security and everything, but we want you to feel home. We don't want you to scare away with 10,000 white papers you have to read through before you start playing. We want you to get there and start playing and start enjoying yourself without having to worry about that stuff.
And for the people listening, I can totally relate to how menacing it can be to get into that space. If you like, okay, do I need to fully understand how like parent chains are working to get into Polkadot? No, you don't need to.
Yeah.
And I think there is too much emphasis on, I mean, the base fundamentals, it doesn't hurt to understand why they're there and stuff like this, but there is so many rabbit holes, which somehow I feel also people from the community, Polkadot community, like sometimes also expect us as founders to get in. But I totally admit I might understand like 50% of what's going on in Polkadot, and I'm fine with it because like we have enough smart people, and that's what Lou said on Polkadot Decoded. We saw that we have 1 million people building the perfect system for houses. Like they talk about insulation, they talk about how the basements are shaped to like make 1 million more buildings and so on. But there are no people taking up shop, or too little people talking about what shops we're building in these houses. And we're like this small like team that's standing here and says, hey, we have a shop, like we're selling something and it's pretty cool for the end user. And people say, come on, like insulation is cooler, right? And we want to be the ones that really like, or we want to help like showcase and be one of the biggest showcases on RMRK to get people over to see like that's actually cool what you can do with it. And it's not about too much about the chains and but it's really about RMRK. It's about what we can do with it, and it's about like what we do as a project. And this is why I think Polkadot should be less technical, and they already do with their outside communication. But I think that's a long technical history, and we feel they're gearing up to that, but we're not there yet. It's still very technical.
Yeah, I think maybe just to touch on that as well as, so since we were on Kusama before, like there wasn't really anybody we could talk to and that really saw our vision like for catering to the end user, since it was like Kusama, it's supposed to be the test net and everything. And what we really love about Moonbeam as well, it's like a chain that really cares especially about that. Like they care about the community, they care about who is on there and get as many people on board as possible. And we, like for the first time, at least me, and I think Deckard probably feels the same. We had like this feeling of somebody being like, you're building something cool for the end user. You're not trying to milk them for all their money. You're actually trying to create a fun experience. Yeah, like come to us. Like we had multiple talks with other blockchains that really wanted us as well, simply because like they see the value of that, of the applications that are for the end users. And it just felt so great seeing the fruits of the work we put in, and then people appreciating it and seeing the value for their chain users.
That's cool. Yeah, they actually want to kind of promote and be like, what are you guys doing? We care about this. We're glad you're on the chain. We're a family.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny, you'd said earlier that like Polkadot is about the security and stuff, and it made me think of, I don't know if anyone even get the reference, but the old cell phone battle back in the day of RIM or BlackBerry compared to like Android, compared to I don't even know if Android was around at that point, but everyone loved BlackBerry because of the security. It just made me think of that, the whole battle of cell phones back then.
Yeah, exactly. And what happened to BlackBerry? Like all of a sudden nobody's using it anymore. Like they had this, maybe they had this big advantage, but they didn't have like the iPhone use case, right? Like they didn't have the UX of it. So we were trying to be the iPhone use case on Polkadot. Let's call it like one.
Good point.
You know what? RIM's buying up like self-driving car tech companies.
Yeah, they're still there with the, like
they are around.
They went big into security and like went to like I guess direct to business. Anyways, random. Okay, this is
Desert Island question, Devon. Throw him for a loop.
Yeah.
One movie you got to bring on with you. You have it on a desert island. What's your one movie, guys?
Yeah.
Oh God, what was the name? Lou, you go first. It's on you
go
now.
First. I don't really watch a lot of movies. I watch The Office right now. I think I would bring a season of The Office with me.
Oh, nice.
I can always laugh about that.
That's
definitely
true.
I'm rewatching it right now. I'm in season 9.
How is it called? Where with Will Ferrell, where they have this news anchor team? What's the movie called?
Anchorman.
Oh, I love Anchorman. It's this kind of stupid humor that just gets me.
The dumb comedies, right? I have a terrible taste of movies, and stuff like that is right up my alley.
That's good.
Can't go wrong with either one of those options.
Good choices.
I guess
I'll ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Devon.
Where's for both of you guys favorite restaurant? And this is good because one of you guys you're in Norway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So favorite restaurant. That way we won't get the same thing.
In Norway?
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, like food is so freaking expensive here. Like I've been to a restaurant maybe 3 times in the 7 months I'm living here.
Holy crap!
So
really?
I think I would have, yeah, man, like, cost of living is quite high here. And since we're not selling out easily, it's, it's hard. But yeah, I think my favorite restaurant is actually where Deckard is right now, where I'm coming from originally as well. It's called Hatien. It's like a Vietnamese place.
Cool.
I hope he doesn't call the same place, but yeah.
No, he can't. You already said
it's my
it.
favorite one.
Oh, I can't
exactly.
now. Yeah. My one is you can Google it. It's called Evrl00t, and it's a very Bavarian place. Like there's like wooden walls, and you get your pork, your pork leg crispy and stuff like that. And it's all very fatty and very German and very schnitzel and very
nice. Nice. I like
Talking
it.
about schnitzel, you know what happened to me today? Lou today's first of April, and I was just like I was in a family party, and it was 60th birthday of my uncle, whatever. I was there, and then I got a forwarded message from our tax consultant, which is pretty like. We had some trouble with him, so I thought, hey, why is he like sending a text message now, a voice message now? And then my phone was ringing, like everything was ringing, Discord was ringing. I was like, fuck, like we got busted for like there's a tax fraud investigation for us, like for our company, and I have to be like in 2 hours at my home because that's where the company is aligned, and they're going through all of the documents, and like police will be there, and we need to this guy he perfectly and I swear to you, like I was really scared, but I think Lou said that I acted quite calm, but I was like, I had a schnitzel salad today to get all of the German stuff out today. So I was leaving that there and calling them, and I was already in my car writing down the stuff I need to do to just leave there and not saying goodbye to my family. And at some point they couldn't keep the facade up, and they just started giggling. And this is where I noticed that fuck you guys.
They got you at the April Fools.
Just to be clear there, we were trying really hard to be as tax confirmed as we can, but it's hard since there's like the regulations, even in Germany, they're like super unclear. So we have a lot of problem, even like we were trying to the best of our knowledge, but it's really hard. So we just switched tax attorney as well, and we got him to send like this voice memo, and it was just amazing. And I was actually like Deckard said, I was surprised because Deckard wasn't like flipping out or anything. Like he was super rational, and he was like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to write down? He all of a sudden gets super into the mode, and
I aged 5 years in that call.
I love a good craft.
That's a huge April Fool's prank, man. That's huge. Get your tax like
we planned it like a week ago. Yeah.
What?
Man, Lou, I'm still actually pissed at him. So Evrl00t founder did that because just imagine if I was driving. Like I'm not sure if I could drive a car when I get that message.
Yeah. Last year we did a similar prank. So last year we did a prank where we photoshopped one of our wallets, and it had quite a sum of KSM at the time on it, and we photoshopped it to show 0. And then we were like, Deckard, did you withdraw all the KSM? And he was like, no, I didn't. Well, what happened? And so we knew that we had to do another one this year, and I think we got him again. But let's see if next year.
Why is it always Deckard?
I was gonna say, is Deckard falls for things, huh?
No, he's just pretty naive. I think and he gets pretty emotional. He gets pretty emotional quickly, so it's easy to get him. So yeah,
I'm not the guy that does April Fool's jokes.
You have to start now.
About that. It's 1st of April.
You have to start like a long
now.
con from now, and then like that materializes itself next year. And
you're right.
Gotta
you're
strike
right. I'm
back.
going to hire Fiverr artists to do some strange stuff.
There you go. Diabolical plan. Let's go.
Yeah.
Get it started.
Go way overboard, like just actually destroy our life or something.
Yeah, tie it into the lore of Evrl00t. Tie it into Evrl00t somehow.
Oh, geez. All right, cool. I think that's a good place to end it off, guys. This has been a really, really awesome conversation. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Tell us where we can find you and anything else you want to say to any listeners about Evrl00t. And
thank you for having us. The best place to find us is Twitter. We're Evrl00t, so EVRL and then 2 zeros. I'm sorry for that, and then a T. So EVRL00t. And maybe you can link that somehow on your Twitter, so it's easier for the people to find us.
Yep.
And there you'll find the link to Discord. And if you can also go to Evrl00t.io, but that's linked on the Twitter. So from Twitter you can find everything. And Evrl00t.io is our website to give you a brief glimpse and a small mini tutorial like what we are. Thanks for having us.
I think we try to create on our website. We try to create like a small experience, so you can see how it would feel like being in the game. So if you want to check that out, Evrl00t.io. Thank you from my side as well. Thank you for having us. It was fun. It was a cooler experience, let's say, than having like a normal AMA where people just try to get information out of you. So
nice. Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah, we trick you into it somehow through conversation. Thank you so much, guys. Honestly, it was a blast. Thank you very much.
All right, Ryan.
Cool.
NFGs, we out.